Welcome to Waters World. I'm Jesse Waters. It's been an entire year since Donald Trump was elected president. And in honor of the anniversary, our producers compiled what they believe are some of his most memorable moments. Joining me now is host of Michelle Malkin Investigates on CRTV.com, Michelle Malkin. Okay, Michelle, so let's get started. Trump versus the press. We caught wind of this soundbite from one of the people over at MSNBC. Let's take a listen.
The people that have prospered the most while Donald Trump's ratings have collapsed to record lows are his enemies. The New York Times doing better than ever. The Washington Post doing better than ever. Networks doing better. CNN's doing great on revenue. We're doing great. I mean, all of the people that he's attacked seem to actually be doing quite well. Donald Trump has been great for the media.
All right, Michelle, maybe the ratings are going up, but their credibility is going way down. How do you see it?
Yeah, well, I love watching this self-delusion in action. It really is fascinating from a psychological perspective. And I think that what Donald Trump has done most effectively is expose the media bias that so many of us who are journalists and out of the closet as right-leaning have tried to expose for the last 20, 30 years.
Yep.
Listen, I mean, you could do PhD dissertations on liberal media bias until you're blue in the face. But it wasn't until Trump came along, and I think more effectively than any other Republican politician, was able to poke them in the eye and use social media to expose their false narratives. Look, I've got kids, and admittedly, I am conservative, but I certainly have not imposed my ideology on either of my kids, and they use the term fake news in an unironic way because of the effective repetition of Donald Trump.
Right, and I think he's done really long-term damage to some of these brands, especially CNN, who I don't think is ever going to recover from the fake news moniker. Let's look at some of the highlights from Trump's rumbles with the press.
Just because of the attack of fake news and attacking our network, I just want to ask you.
I'm changing it from fake news, though.
Doesn't that undermine?
Very fake news.
I know, but aren't you?
When the media lies to people, I will never, ever let them get away with it. They have their own agenda, and their agenda is not your agenda.
The press has no sense of humor. He just retweets this funny video of him body slamming a CNN logo, and they think it's an attack on the First Amendment.
I know, and they're ready to go to international human rights tribunals. I mean, the self-importance and the narcissism of the media, too. Donald Trump has done a fabulous job of popping their bubble. And you know what, Jesse, I have to say that over the years, I haven't agreed with every policy decision or policy position that Donald Trump has made, but he has made covering politics fun again. And the fact is that it's not just the liberal media establishment that he's gone after. It's the entire Beltway establishment. And again, I would have to say that there isn't a modern American politician since Reagan who has been able to do and use his platform as effectively as Donald Trump has. He's been able to subvert and sabotage and circumvent the mainstream false narratives. And it is because of his use of Twitter and social media. And that, again, that effective repetition that he does. And by the way, this is not messaging by committee, Jesse. This is what's so important. He doesn't have to wait for 10 speechwriters and 50 media consultants to tell him what to say. And that's what I love about him.
No, he's lethal. And I think that's why the press is so discombobulated, because he's so effective and it's driving them crazy. Let's look at some international news here. This is the president on the North Korean dictator. Go.
Rocket Man is on a suicide mission for himself and for his regime. The United States is ready, willing, and able, but hopefully this will not be necessary.
Now we have to update this. It's now Lil Rocket Man, L-I-L, Michelle.
Yeah, like a rapper, you know, like Lil Jon or
Right.
Lil Wayne.
Right.
I love it. You know, Donald Trump, of course, was in the milieu of Hollywood and pop culture. And the late Andrew Breitbart always said that politics was downstream of culture. And I don't think that there is a Republican Party figure who has been more immersed in that culture than Donald Trump. And of course, it comes with both liabilities and benefits. But the benefit is that he's able to penetrate a world that the Republican Party and the fuddy-duddies in the Republican Party have always paid lip service to wanting to reach out to, but have never been able to do it effectively.
That's the word. It's penetrate,
right?
Michelle. He's able to penetrate
Yes.
because of his expertise in branding. He did it with Crooked Hillary, with Lyin' Ted, and that just goes right into the bloodstream, and he does it through Twitter, and Lil Rocket Man is a great example of that. Let me show you some pictures now, which were used as lies. Let's look at now. I want to show you. This is the eclipse. Remember the solar eclipse? Everyone gets their little glasses. This is the president looking what everybody says was directly at the sun. And I bet a lot of people wish his eyes had burned out in the mainstream media, Michelle.
I'm sure they did. But this is actually, a picture does say 1,000 words. And what this tells you is just how thoroughly immersed in Trump derangement syndrome so many of the media manufacturers are, whether we're talking about that picture or the koi fish
Oh, yeah,
picture
let's show
in
that
Japan.
koi pond where he was feeding the fish. Now, this was shown as an example of the president having no decorum and no diplomacy, but this was actually him dumping the fish food after Prime Minister Abe of Japan had done it. So that was a total lie as well. I also want to show you something. This was down in Puerto Rico. Do you remember after the hurricane, he went down there to offer some relief, and he was, I guess as a basketball player, would throwing jump shots out of the paper towels to the people in the back. Now, this was used to make the president look like he was trivializing things. But in fact,
Yes.
all the people in the front row next to him were media, and the people that actually needed the paper towels were in the way back, so he had to really actually shoot a jump shot to get it to him.
Exactly. And, you know, there used to be a time when the liars in the media would get away with these kinds of fabrications.
Right.
Do you remember long ago when George Herbert Walker Bush was at a grocery store technology conference,
Yep.
and they tried to make it look like he didn't know what he was talking about with scanners and make him look ignorant. And it would get repeated over and over and over again. And it took 10 or 15 years before people admitted that the whole thing was a lie. Now we have instant fact checking.
Yep.
And it is because of the crowdsourcing that's available now in the media and the pushback. And I've lived through the era where, you know, it used to take 100 or 200 conservative blogs to fight back against these liberal lies. And now it just takes one Donald Trump tweet to pop their bubble. I love it.
That's it. So speaking of Donald Trump tweets, let's show one right here. This is one of my favorites. My use of social media is not presidential. It's modern day presidential. Make America great again. That's just, it just totally threw everybody out the window. And what I also love is when he goes, this might not be very presidential, but, and then he'll say like, Fat Michael Moore's Broadway show bombed.
Yeah, you know, he's made me laugh and he's made me enjoy covering politics again. And that's not to say that there aren't times where I'm gritting my teeth and just sort of holding on for the ride.
I am too.
But there's a sense of fun about it. And you know what? Look, we live in a meme world now. We live in a world of Snapchat and Facebook and 280 characters. And you either ride that wave or you get run over. And clearly, Donald Trump is a master.
He is. And I hate to end this on a sour note, but this Russia investigation has clearly dominated the mainstream media, at least for most of the year, beginning in the spring when Mueller was appointed special counsel. This is the president tweeting about it. You are witnessing the single greatest witch hunt in American political history, led by some very bad and conflicted people. Michelle, I got about a minute left. Finish it up for us.
Well, I think the bottom line here is that Donald Trump is absolutely right about at the end of this year, what do we have here? Not only do we have at the end of this investigation a nothing burger, it's not even a nothing side of fries, okay, Jesse?
You're making me hungry here.
Right, I know. And it's part of that mania of the liberal media themselves, so guilty of hypocrisy on their position on Russia when they overlooked all of the national security concerns that Hillary and Bill's Clinton cash machine brought to the table. But they're not going to give up. And that's why I think it's more important than ever that Donald Trump double down on the kind of circumvention tactics that we've been talking about this entire segment, and getting ahead of and in front of and around this propaganda machine that calls themselves liberal journalists.
Okay, Michelle, thank you very much. Me now is host of Michelle Malkin Investigates on CRTV.com, Michelle Malkin. Okay, Michelle, so let's get started. Trump versus the press. We
actually be doing quite well. Donald Trump has been great for the media.
All right, Michelle, maybe the ratings are going up, but their credibility is going way down. How do you see it?
Yeah, well, I love watching this.
Welcome to Waters World. I'm Jesse Waters. It's been an entire year since Donald Trump was elected president. And in honor of the anniversary, our producers compiled what they believe are some of his most memorable moments.
Times doing better than ever. The Washington Post doing better than ever. Networks doing better. CNN's doing great on revenue. We're doing great. I mean, all of the people that he's attacked seem to...
Caught wind of this soundbite from one of the people over at MSNBC. Let's take a listen.
The people that have prospered the most while Donald Trump's ratings have collapsed to record lows are his enemies. The New York